Hey guys, my name's Frank, and this is my workshop. Hey guys, welcome back. We're working on the Dozer again, the Cub Cadet Dozer build. The frame currently sits here with one drive unit on the rear. The upper frame is right now just resting on the lower frame. But today we're going to go hunting for some more parts. So let's go look at the stash. Okay, so I've got some of my Cub Cadet parts stash here. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 mower decks. Here's a couple of snow blades. Mule drives, subframes, mower deck subframes, some parts here. I may need this gas tank. All right. Gonna need this. Probably need this fuel tank. Let's see what we have over here. All right, I think this is a wide frame hood, so gonna need that. Here's a wide frame lower grill casting. There's an axle. Fenders. I'm not ready to do anything with fenders at this point. Let's see. Well, here's a wide frame grill. Goes in that grill casting. All right, this is a dash, complete dash tower and assembly from, this says 129, so I like to use that. What I don't have is a seat. Let's see, oh wait a minute, here's a seat. Alright, so here's a seat and a tunnel cover. See, I knew there was a reason I saved all this stuff. Alright, here's the tunnel cover. I don't know if I'll even need that, but probably something between the dash. Need something between the dash and the seat to cover the drive shaft going between your legs. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to use any of these fenders. I have two complete fenders. One sitting over here, up kind of upside down, and then one here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. But I don't have a grill, a nose. There's a nose piece which fits on top of this casting, which brings it up which then engages the hood. I have one outside. Let's see if there's one over here in this box. No. The nose piece for the hood is one of the parts that often breaks. If you run one of these tractors into something, usually like a wall or a fence or something, then the first thing it hits is the nose, and it's cast aluminum, and it's pretty easy to break. It's probably the first thing to break in a collision. So the nose castings are, and that's usually what happens. You break one and you wind up trying to find a used one, and I mean, they're easy to come by, but that's probably why I don't have one here, is because that's the only explanation for having the lower grill assembly but not the nose piece. So, all right, we'll move some of this stuff downstairs and throw it up on the frame and see what it looks like. Okay, let's play around with some parts here. Let's see. Here's the nose piece that we were missing in the stash upstairs. Just trying to get one screw in here to hold it temporarily. Alright, something like that. I don't know for sure. I mean, the engine goes here, but until I get the front hydrostat on, I won't be sure about the exact position of the engine. And of course that will control the position of these components. All right, so this is low. This would need to come up. All right, so my first impression is it's too long. The frame's too long. Lost its proportion, so we're going to have to deal with that. Perhaps shorten this upper frame. You know, maybe it's just slide it back. All right, I think that looks a little bit better. Okay, so, you know, I think the jury is out on the proportions here. I think it looks better with the frame slid back. So, what I may do is move the hood and everything back and let the frame protrude at the front to support the blade. So the blade is naturally going to extend out the front, so maybe the frame protruding in the front is a better choice. I might get a Dozer blade and stick it on the front and just see what that looks like. Normally in a Cub Cadet the seat would be about over the rear axle, something like that. This would be back almost a foot. Okay, well, it kind of gives you an idea of, you know, what we're going through here as far as you know, maintaining some fidelity to the Cub Cadet design and proportions, yet, you know, providing the tracks, allowance for the tracks and the scale proportions to the D10. So I'd say the jury is out on this right now, but this looks better than having it protrude in the hood so far forward. I think this is a better look. All right, we'll come back with some more thoughts later. All right, so let's go looking for an engine. Got a stash of engines. I'll show you my favorite Cub Cadet. This is my 108, my weekly grass killer. It's got a 44-inch, a 44A deck. This is the one that was in an earlier video that I did a complete tune-up on and swapped decks on. I've had this Cub Cadet for over 40 years. I bought it in 1979. It's a 1972 model, so it'll be 50 years old next year. All right, let's look at some engines. See what we got to choose from. Engines, they're hidden here. Let's see. All right. All right, so this is an old 10 horsepower. I think it's off like a 100. Let's see. All right, this is a K301, so this is a 12 horsepower. So, you know, this is a candidate. It's already, I have not run this one. I bought this engine and this engine from a collector. So I mean, they turn, but I don't know, you know, how well they run or if they smoke or what the condition of them is. All right, there's two others here. These are black. They came off of recent purchases, and they are replacement engines. I mean, they're black, so this one doesn't have the starter generator on it. This one does. I think one is a 12 and one is a 14. All right, yeah, this one is 321, so this is a 14, and I think this is a 12. This came out of, these two came out of the two tractors that went into building the motor grader. That's where these came from. So this has got everything, got a carburetor, got a coil. I think, and as I recall, the 149, and that came out of a 129 or 109, no, 129. I think both of these ran, both of them ran pretty well. I think this one probably is it's the most complete. It's got the starter generator. That one doesn't, even though I could swap it or get it off one of the other engines. Being as it's 14, I think it would make a better candidate. So we'll get this engine out of here and take it up to the shop. All right. That'll take a few minutes. All right, so overnight I had kind of an epiphany on the configuration of the arrangement of the hood and seat on this frame. And I decided that I actually flipped it. So I made what I was originally planning to have as the rear, the front. And the reason I did that, the reason I had this as the rear before is because this hydrostat is sticking out the back. And I didn't want to have that in the front of the tractor because it's somewhat vulnerable with the filter there. And with a bulldozer pushing stuff, you never know what, you know, you get dirt piled up under, whatever. So I purposely put that at the rear of the tractor. So the front of the tractor would just be the rear panel on the other drive back here. So, but what that does is it pushes the rear axle to the back right here, and this axle is, you know, 18 inches from the front. Or it was 18 inches from the rear. And that creates a bit of a problem with this arrangement of the high drive on the on this cat. So the rear drive needs to be all the way at the back. This front drive can be set back from the front a little bit, and here it is a little bit. So I think it's better to have the rear drive, and that way my high drive, which will actually be an idler sprocket, would then fall, you know, somewhere, you know, around the seat area, because the rear sprocket's here, the high drive would be here, and then the front drive here. So I think that's a better arrangement given the restrictions I have with, you know, the way I'm building it, with the hydrostats, one having to be reversed. I would love to have this one turned around. I wish there was a way, and I've struggled with trying to come up with a way to counter drive this other axle. They need to be driven, you know, both need to be driven counterclockwise. I can't do that with a common drive shaft. I've thought about 90-degree gearboxes, counter shafts, a number of different things to try to achieve, you know, the reverse rotation on this other axle. And I can't come up with anything. So my only solution at this point is to turn it around. If somebody out there has an idea of how to counter rotate the other drive, in other words, drive them both counterclockwise from a common drive shaft or some arrangement between them, I'd love to hear about it, because I can't come up with anything. I mean, anything reasonable. I mean, I suppose, you know, a series of belts and shafts and stuff, I could, you know, come over the top of one of the drives with a drive shaft and run it from the other side, but it just gets way overcomplicated. So again, this is a compromise. I mentioned I'm going to fix this so that it's this section here that I put on will come off, and I'll just extend this lower frame out so to match this, so it'll just be straight. And I will put the bracket on the front here to hold the the hydraulic cylinder to lift the blade. There'll be a bracket to hold this cylinder to lift the blade, and so I think that's my current design direction at this point. Once I get the rear drive, it will now be the rear drive on. We'll be able to, look at it a little bit better. I'll fix the front and bring you back when I've made some progress on that stuff. so 14.5. All right, so my thought process is this is the bracket which will support the front hydraulic cylinder. I've got it angled parallel basically to the grill. And we'll paint it to either match the grill or I'm not sure at this point. But we need something up here to support the cylinder, which will control the blade height. So just what I'm looking at right now. Now that I've settled on the approximate location of the engine, hood, seat, and I'm happy with the length of this 2x4 upper frame. As I mentioned, we're going to fix the lower frame down here. We're going to cut that off and replace it with another piece, but since I've been moving this frame around, this upper frame around, working on it, I'm going to harden up the tacks a little bit on the corners. So just hit them again with another little short bead on each corner, just to make sure it doesn't come apart. That gives that frame a lot more strength as I move it around. I don't have to worry about it coming apart. I'm going to also tack on this front lift cylinder brace, just so I'll see what it looks like. I can keep an eye on it over time and decide if I like it. But since I've got it, let's put it on. All right, so this rectangular tubing had been sitting outside, so we're just going to get some of the rust off of it. All right, that'll be fine. When we paint it with the Rust-Oleum Restorer Reformer, it'll convert any of the light surface rust that's left on here to magnetite, and it won't be an issue. All right, let's tack this to the main frame. Yeah. All right, so I know that, you know, this is not a square. This support bracket is not square to the frame, and I understand these magnets have 90-degree angles on them, but they do work to hold it in approximate position. Three and a half. Okay. That's right where it's supposed to be. Okay, all right, so that gives us approximate position of this front brace, which will support the lift cylinder, and also helps us, you know, locate, because the nose of the hood assembly is right here, so we know the relative fore and aft position of its location going forward. And we've got the frame with a little better tack bead. I mean, a little bit more than a tack for sure, but not a full weld yet, not ready to do that. All right, so we'll come back in a few minutes on something else. Well, that took care of that pretty quickly. So as I mentioned, we're gonna replace that section of the frame, this section that we fabricated the other week, with just a straight section to match the lower frame. So I'm waiting on some more material. I have a steel shipment coming tomorrow. I got a shipment last week, and I got a good bit of steel. I got half a sheet of 1/4 inch, half a sheet of 3/8, half a sheet of 3/16. These are all 4x4 pieces, so when I say half a sheet, I'm saying half of a 4x8 sheet. So I've got another similar lot coming tomorrow, plus a couple pieces of 1/8 inch, which is what I need. The 1/8 inch is what I need to extend the frame. And I have this little Jib Crane coming. It'll be another 2 or 3 weeks before it gets here. But I mean, it's not heavy. It has a capacity of, I think, 500 pounds. The 3/8 inch sheet is like 350 pounds. So the Jib Crane will bolt to the floor, and it's just a small one. It's 5 feet tall, just a 42 inch reach. It'd be just big enough for me to swing around, pick up a sheet, and set it on the table. Obviously, you know, I can't pick those sheets up by myself. The 3/16 sheet's heavy enough. Had another guy help me move it, and it was, I mean, I think it's still over 100 pounds. So anyway, that's what's coming in later this month. I've already started thinking about the tracks. There's some decisions that need to be made as far as sprocket type and diameter, whether I'm going to buy the sprockets or make my own sprockets. I've ordered some number 80, ANSI number 80 chain and a sprocket just to play with. I don't think that's, I mean, there's two possibilities. One is I buy a chain large enough to hold the tracks and a sprocket the same size to drive the tracks. A chain the size I think I need is prohibitively expensive, like $30 or $40 a foot for the chain, and the sprockets $200 a piece, and I need 6. So, you know, I'm looking at a couple $1,000s in chain and sprockets. The idea being, if I get a large enough roller chain, I can weld it to the track pads and, you know, basically be done with it. There's some appeal to having tracks that exactly match a sprocket, and the sprocket's pre-made. There's nothing available that I can find that's, you know, that wouldn't require some machining or adaptation to the drive hubs that I've got, but that's relatively straightforward. The other choice is to build the tracks and basically the chain part of the tracks myself. And just to try to assess the level of effort necessary for that, I've been playing with some wood. I'll show you what I've got so far. This is just some plywood I cut out and some pieces of dowel, 5/8 inch dowel. This is a 2-inch on center chain basically that I've built here, and pre-manufactured chain this size I think would be number 160, ANSI number 160, which a 10-foot piece is 300. A 10-foot piece is $320 or $350 for the cheapest I can find. I figure I need about 30 feet. So, you know, I'm looking at $1,000 for the chain. Sprockets, about $1,200 for sprockets, at least. But I'm cutting out, you know, 50 or 100 same size pieces of 1/4 inch steel with holes, you know, cut in them at the same place is, you know, not a insurmountable task. As a matter of fact, cutting the pieces out should be relatively straightforward. Assembling, welding them together, creating a chain basically fastened to the track pads, you know, is the other part of the fab work. I mean, I think that's the way I'm leaning right now. I'm going to look at the chain when I get it. I'll show you what, you know, what I've got here. Basically 4x8 inch track pads. Now, based on my scaling, calculations, track width, 8.5 inches. So 8.5 inch track width would get me in scale with the model. I might, you know, the reason I question that is because I've held this up to the frame as I have it now, and they just look small. The track pads look small. So the track pads may not scale linearly with this scale model idea. So I may wind up with bigger track pads. In any case, they may be wider. that is maybe 9 inches or 10 inches wide instead of 8.5 inches. But the chain concept is pretty much the same. And I'm thinking a chain with about a 2-inch pitch is appropriate. So this is just a chain made out of wood and dowels, and I'm getting ready. I'm waiting for my hot melt glue gun to heat up. I'm getting ready to glue these pieces to the track pads and then just see how they move. I've got clearance between them, and my plan would be a hole in the track pad in the center here. The idea being the tooth coming around, when dirt gets in these openings, I mean, it needs to be a place for the dirt to go, or mud, so it would be pushed out through the holes. Here you got a space for it to be extruded through. As the tooth comes through, it pushes dirt into the hole. You need a place for it to go. You don't want packing in here and then, you know, causing issues. So each of these pads would have a hole. And the other thing, you know, I need to do is some calculations on the number of pads I need to just kind of get an idea of the scale. And I'll probably won't be able to do that till I get the other axle on, the other drive unit installed, at which point I can screw on a couple of 12-inch diameter discs and, you know, take some measurements with a tape measure around the, I mean, I could do it on a sheet of paper and calculate it, but it'd be a lot easier to do it, I think. It'd be more practical to do it with a mock-up. So you know, that looks like certainly something that would work. looking at a 12-inch diameter sprocket, that might be, that would be a reasonable. It certainly will make the turn. Cutting pieces, links out like this is relatively straightforward on the plasma table. Wondering whether the track pads are the right size. For a tractor of this scale. I don't know, kind of just stepping back here, they look small to me. All right, well, that's my first look at track design. I'm going to do some more prototyping, I'm sure, before I'm happy with the design. So I'll bring you back when I'm working on it, when I got another idea. All right. I got a package in the mail today from one of my favorite places, McMaster Car. So I'll show you what. Let me turn the light on over here. Let me show you what I got. These are the sheaves for the pulley, or basically the pulleys, the sheaves for the belt drive, one for the engine, one for the drive shaft, for the hydros. Alright, I got a pair of these idler pulleys, and those are used, those will be idlers for the belt drive. These are the taper bushings for the pulleys. This one's a 5/8 inch. And then there's the other one's a 1 inch. So that'll be on the engine, this will be on the drive shaft. And then I ordered a couple of pillow block bearings. Let's see if I open one of these when this is the one I cut a minute ago. So it's likely that the long drive shaft will need support somewhere along its length. So I bought a pair of self-aligning 5/8 inch pillow block bearings just to support the shaft. Probably at least one at its midpoint. We'll see if I need to use two, but I'm anticipating that these were inexpensive. So that's what came in the mail today. Today is Thursday. I think I ordered everything Tuesday night. That's one thing about McMaster is you order something. If you order it in the morning, you get it the next afternoon. If you order it afternoon, it's the day after tomorrow. So they've got their act together. Okay. All right, so we're going to wrap up the video at this point. Some decisions lie ahead on the track, the pitch of the track, as well as the sprockets and the size of the track pads. Need to make sure they make sense from a scale perspective. I don't know that they scale linearly with the rest of the Dozer design. So I have to do some visual comparison to make sure that everything looks right. But we need to make some decisions about the track and the track size and the sprocket pitch in order to start working on the track frame. The sprocket size, of course, has an impact on the size of the frame and its arrangement. So we'll come back next time with the completed, what will be now the rear drive, the rear Dozer drive. The gasket for the hydro is supposed to come tomorrow finally. So I'll get that put together off camera and reinstalled. We'll work next time on adding the new extension to the lower frame to enclose the front hydro. So we'll do that and start doing some more prototyping of the track and sprockets, and we'll get the engine up here and start putting the engine and working on the drive shaft between the two Dozer drives. So that's all coming up in the next couple episodes. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hit the thumbs up and share and subscribe if you don't want to miss any upcoming episodes. So we'll see you guys next time.